Three. What up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Rainmaker podcast. And I think this is probably either the first or the second most frequented viewer to this show because he is a dynamic coach. He's a dynamic speaker, leader, enthusiast, and more importantly, somebody that just motivates me and gets in these amazing rooms. And it's no question why I would like to have him back on the show just to kind of share what he's doing. And honestly, we talked before the show started just to keep this super transparent. Is I wanted him to just share the importance of what it means to have success in this business, specifically catering to life insurance agents, what you need to have as opposed to just learning one tactic, right? And just continuing to educate yourself and leveling up. And then sharing some more ways that he's been able to help people in the form of coaching, mentorship, sales, training, and then something amazing that he is doing now. I want to share a little bit of light on that. So without further ado, Damon, how did we get here, man? Take me back to how we got to this place where you're getting in these amazing rooms, you're having a ton of success, but more importantly, you're impacting so many people.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, first of all, thank you so much for allowing me to be on. It's always an honor and a pleasure. I can't say this enough about you, bro. I got to acknowledge you every single time I'm on, first and foremost. Before we even get into my story, obviously, I've known of you for almost a decade now. I think it's been about 8 years or so. And you are one of the pioneers of this digital marketing space when it comes to insurance agents, man. So I think you laid out a framework. You laid out a blueprint of what was possible when you build it the right way, when you become a professional at this thing and not just somebody that slings policies. So I've been watching your example as well, man. And it's an honor to be in front of your audience. And hopefully over the next 20 minutes, we can give them some game to really help them create what I would call a lifestyle business and not just a living.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get right to it, man. What are some of the components that if you were going to start over, right, looking back and you're like, okay, this is what I knew. Here's what I know now. Here are the things that I would be focused on doing to have success in today's world where attention is the commodity.
Yeah, so good, man. So the first thing that I would focus on is exactly what I teach now. So I have a group of life insurance agents that I teach as well. And obviously, because hindsight is 2020, we can kind of learn from experience. Honestly, I would not change the first thing that I did, which if anybody is writing this down, I committed to become a professional in this industry. I think the majority of agents fail because they look at it kind of whimsical. They look at it as a hobby. They look at it as, okay, it's a hustle. It's a way for me to get money. I look at it as one of the multiple streams of income. But there's a book that I love. It's called Outliers by a gentleman by the name of Malcolm Gladwell. And he said to become an expert at anything, it requires 10,000 hours. The challenge is most people do not put 10,000 hours in before they expect to get expert results. And so if I could go back, man, that is the very first thing that I would do.
So step one, become an expert, a master at your craft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Love it. Yeah. Well, one of the things I think that's important is because expectations most of the time is derived from seeing somebody's finished product or the results that they get. True. And what I like to say is whatever it is that anyone has achieved, you only see the tip of the iceberg. And what I mean by that is we don't see what someone was willing to sacrifice in order to get there. And LeBron James talked about this in his previous interview. You see the 9 in a row finals appearances, but what they don't see is the things that he had to miss. The flights that he was on, the eating consistently, going to the gym, the not going out, right? Going and doing 4 or 5 workouts in a day, whatever it is. Yeah. And if people modeled and replicated the sacrifices, right? The inputs outputs are derived by inputs. So if more people focused on putting in the time, they would inevitably get the results. And a lot of times you kind of surpass it.
Yeah, 100%. Bro, you bring up a really, really phenomenal point here because I think the challenge that a lot of people have, including myself, right? I am not the pot calling the kettle black by any means, but we all live in the technology age where at the drop of a dime, at the tip of our fingers, we have access not only to information, but lifestyles. And so what a lot of the influencers are doing is they're putting content out there. The challenge is there's no context of that. Okay, Damon, what do you mean? Okay, the content is I see the Lamborghini, I see the private jets, I see this beautiful lifestyle that you're living, but what is the context? You were talking about that. A perfect example is the sporting event that just passed this past summer, the Olympics, right? They have these athletes that perform once every 4 years, but what we do not see is the 4 years of the right type of eating, the sacrifices, the training, everything that went into that. And so I'm sharing with most agents, whether you're just starting or you've plateaued and you want to get to the next level, what are you doing in private? Because what you want to be celebrated for publicly is going to be based on what you're doing in private first. And those fundamentals is what most agents are lacking in.
Right. And see, the reason why this is important, because this isn't the sexy stuff to talk about, but again, it's the thing that gets the most results. And I talk to my clients like this. It's always the thing that you're avoiding the most is the problem solver for you. So if you focus on getting good at this thing, that's the ultimate lever. So let's start there. So the first thing is you need mastery, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And from my man Myron Golden, what does he say? What's mastery? To effortlessly execute without the use of conscious resources. Well, you're not going to become a master at closing or handling objections, watching one YouTube video, and then trying to make proposals to people. It's going to take hours and hours, like you said, 10,000 hours. 100%. So the only way to get good is by doing, not by learning.
Come on. Bro, okay. you just said it. I think Myron Golden says it best as well. Most people avoid the very thing that is the only thing that can actually get you good. And so when we talk about the 10,000 hours, I'm not talking about, hey, I'm going to get on a podcast, I'm going to read a book, I'm going to listen to another episode, I'm going to reach out to my coach or my mentor and explain how big my vision and dreams are and how bad I really want it. That doesn't create the result. And let's be honest, can we just pause for station identification real quick? The real work isn't even you doing the presentation. The work is what you just said, bro. What you just said is the one thing that we are avoiding about ourselves that we're not addressing. I want to make this really, really plain to people. Awareness is so much better than knowledge. And so I can teach you the 4 steps of the presentation. I can teach you rebuttals. I can teach you how to get leads. You can learn all these tactics and strategies. But if you're not aware of what your deficiencies are, which is why a coach is necessary, because the coach helps you see you. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so if I don't know, wait a minute, I do have some imposter syndrome. Wait a minute, I believe I'm a procrastinator, but that's just a self-induced title I gave me, right? If I'm not aware of those things, I can't address the internal work necessary to go out there and consistently do what I'm being taught. That's where I believe most people are missing it, Arturo.
Yeah. So personal awareness is the first thing, because here I didn't learn this. Shout out to Sam Ovens, because he's the reason why I ended up even switching from life insurance to being a consultant. The first thing that he did, and you can ask anybody that's a guru right now, we've all been through this program, and he's got this mindset training that's about 10 to 20 hours. And what he did was he reshaped people's paradigm. See, the problem is that most people disagree with other people's beliefs, and they believe their beliefs. And the truth is that you have to first unravel these things. You got to question the things that you believe to be true, because a lot of times the things that we believe are kind of passed down to us, right? And so it's either a learned or an earned behavior. And so you got to change those things to change your paradigm. Well, how do you even do that? The first piece, it starts with awareness, right? Then the next thing is you need to track kind of what you're doing, because the things that you think are the things that you believe. And then the things that you believe are the things that make you take action. And we're the sum of our actions. So that's who we become. Right. So if that's the case, then I need to take an inventory of the things that I believe. Like you said, you got to do the deep work in regards to, like, okay, I'm a procrastinator, right? I avoid these things over here. I avoid hard things, right? Then you track these things. What is this keeping me from? If I'm not doing this hard work over here, the question becomes, well, what are you doing? I got one of my clients. He's like, man, I'm having a hard time booking calls. I'm having a hard time making sales. How many appointments do you have on your calendar? Oh, well, I only have 10. Okay, so that is a component of one thing that's missing. Lead generation, reaches, right? Like, you're missing something. Are you doing those things? No, man, I'm looking to hire somebody, this, that, and the third. I'm like, so that is the thing that you're missing. So you must believe that this thing it's not worth your time to do it, or else you would be doing it, thus you would be getting the result.
Yeah.
So tell me what happens when you pick up the phone or when you do outreach on social media, whatever it is, your mechanism to generate appointments, what is going through your mind?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he believes that he should be doing something more highly leveraged.
Yeah. Come on.
Right. So, but if you're not having conversations,
Yeah.
right, then you're not going to make any cash. All thing happens for communication. So my whole point to that is you the next thing you got to do is you got to put up the mirror and you got to track what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. Bro, you said a word and I don't want to skip past it. I don't want people to just hear the word and just kind of say, okay, I don't know what that meant, but it sounds real good. The word you used was paradigm. And so you asked me a little bit earlier when we were having a conversation before we started this, hey, what are you up to now? I see you're doing some work with Myron Golden. You're getting in a lot of these rooms. Bro, the reason why I am where I am right now is because of what we're talking about in this moment. Was I an incredible agent? Absolutely. I was a captive agent from 2014 to 2018. I averaged being number 5 out of 5,000 agents in that company, where I was on a 70% contract and we had the most expensive product on the market. I sold the crap out of it. We opened up our own brokerage. I had my own agency. We had about 250 agents. We were doing about $300,000 a month in final expense business. I've done all that. I've done some incredible things. All God's doing. But what got me here, I cannot skip past it. What got me in these rooms, what got me speaking next to Myron Golden and the Neo Davises and you name it, the best of the best influencers that a lot of you all recognize right now. If they were to come on here, you'd be like, oh my God, I follow his content. They call me to come into the room and teach precisely what Arturo is talking about right now. Write this down. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a multitude of habits. And so what Arturo just said was, your beliefs, you all want to write this down. Your beliefs are creating your thoughts are creating your feelings are creating your actions, and your actions create your results. Damon, why are you saying this? Because if you want to know what you're believing right now, Damon, why are we talking about this? Let's talk about scripts. Let's talk about rebuttals. Let's talk about lead generation. Let's talk about ads. Stop. What are your results? Because if you want to know what you're believing, your results are directly correlated to your beliefs. Write this down. Beliefs means you accepted something as true. And so you asked me, you said, well, how are you getting in these rooms? How are you getting next to? Because a lot of people can say, hey, I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to change your habits. I want you to start doing this. But what I've mastered, Arturo, is how to articulate helping someone truly change their mindset. And so what Neo has done, what all these other influencers have done, they said, wait a minute, okay, I can teach somebody the tactics and strategies on raising their credit score or how to get business funding. But if I don't change the way that they think, there's something called the thermostat effect, where they're going to always return to the set point of their financial blueprint. Did everybody just hear what I just said? The thermostat in your room, I'm in my office right now. My thermostat is set to 72 degrees. What does that mean? That means my thermostat is going to regulate the temperature in my room to make sure it stays comfortable. You want to write that word down. The word is comfortable. In other words, whatever I want the environment to be, 72 degrees, that's comfortable to me. Guess what? Whatever you earned last year financially is what's comfortable to you. No, Arturo, no, it's not. Hey, I want to make $1 million a year. I get that, but that's not what your thermostat says. Can I go on, or you want me to stop there?
Come on.
So watch this. So if your thermostat in your office, your room, your house says 72 degrees, I got a question for you all. If there is a window open and it's 50 degrees outside, a brisk wind comes in, what will happen? Well, it will lower the temperature in the room, which will regulate the thermostat. It'll kick on blowout heat, what? For it to get back to a comfortable 72 degrees. Same thing if it's 100 degrees outside and I open the door. Well, guess what? If that breeze comes in, it's going to raise the temperature in my office, which is going to cause the thermostat to jump on, which is now going to cause cool air to blow out. Damon, why are we going through this? I'm not here for HVAC training. I get that. I'm talking about your financial capabilities. Whatever your income is per year right now is what we call your financial thermostat. And so let's just say you're at 80 grand a year. You could have an incredible month. You could have an incredible quarter. You could get in somebody's system and blow it out the water. But if you don't change your internal mechanism, which is your paradigm, which is your belief system, in other words, your financial thermostat, you will always be regulated to come back down to the 80. Same thing, if you have a couple of bad months and you're used to making a certain amount of money per month, you will do everything in your power to get back there. And so what am I telling you? I don't care what you learn from this point. If you don't change who you are, in other words, I want everybody to write this down. Damon, okay, what are some easy ways for me to change my belief system? Write these down, very simple. Number one, your environment controls your belief system. Number two, the repetitious information you listen to every single day controls your belief system. Number three, the authority figures. In other words, who you're listening to, key point, including yourself, controls your belief system. And the last one is your experiences. When I saw Arturo doing what he's doing online, when I said, wait a minute, he used to be an agent. He's helping other people create brands and businesses. I can do that. That experience changed my belief system. When you all get a hold of that, there's no limits.
You know what's so funny about that? It is, to a person that isn't where they want to be, all of this just sounds so woo-woo to them, right? Yeah. They can't really fathom it, but that's a belief, right? Is that this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I posted this a couple of days ago. I said the transformation for you to go from where you are right now to where you want to be isn't that difficult. The hard part is you becoming the person that believes in your ability to actually like make the necessary changes.
Come on.
Right? Because a lot of times, in order for us to have success, it's not really about doing more. It's stopping doing the things that are keeping us from doing the stuff that we need to do. For example, you want to get healthy, you more than likely, without even going to the gym, you probably need to just stop eating some of the stuff that you need to eat. And it's so funny. They're like, well, that doesn't seem like it's true. I worked out every 5 days a week last year, and I looked pretty much the same. The first month in January, for 11 days, I changed the way I ate and stopped eating and telling myself these stories. And guess what happened? I looked better and got the results. And people are like, you look jacked now. What happened? What are you taking? It's like, no, this was under everything else, right? So again, it's more about shifting the belief of not making excuses and letting yourself off the hook. But one thing that I thought that was really important with this mindset thing is experiences. And Russell Brunson, I learned this from him. He did this presentation, and I was like, I think this applies to everything. He says that when you come in encounter with people, they have a set of beliefs, and he called it their chain of beliefs. So they start out here, something happens to them, and now they have an experience, and now they believe that if this happens, they are going to get this result. Right? We've all experienced this. We've dated someone in the past. They were crappy. They had a certain demographic. And then for a little bit, we stayed away from that type of person. So that was our chain of belief that this person, right, you want to stay away from it. But that was a chain of belief, because the thing is, the truth is, it's not that person, that type of person, right? It was just that one experience. And so we got to really break through those experiences, is that everything is in a vacuum. It's all based off of situation.
Come on.
If you gave me a list of leads to dial, and today I dialed those leads and I didn't make any sales, and I'm like, well, this is a bad batch. And you're like, well, how do you know? Because I called them all and I didn't make any sales.
Yeah.
But that was just one day.
Yeah, come on.
The system doesn't work. So my belief would be, I was hopeful that this was going to make me a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I attempted to take an action. I didn't get the result that I thought I was going to have. Now I believe that this system doesn't work. And the truth is a lot of times with success, it's just outlasting things until the outcome of what you're looking for pays off.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. My one of my mentors, he called it being paid off. Like, there's a process to success, and the acronym is PAID. PAID.
PAID. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
The P stands for patience. Now, we're talking about a young man that I met in 2013. At that time, he was making a little over $300,000 a month, documented. Now he has $1 million days, multiple days a week, and you probably wouldn't know his name, right? And so I'm looking at his example, and he said, Damon, in order for you to go from where you were making $9 an hour moving furniture to where we are now, also having 6-figure months, he said, you're going to have to go through the process of being paid off. I said, okay, explain this. He said, the P is for patience. Patience. He said, now, most people look at the word patience and they incorrectly assign a definition to it that's never been tested. I said, what are you talking about? He said, most people look at patience as waiting. He said, that's not what patience means. He said, Bob Proctor said it best. Patience is your, write this down, family, your ability to stick with a positive mental attitude while in massive activity mode while you wait.
That's so good.
Most people just get the waiting part. No, I am always positive and I am working. The A, write this down, stands for activity mode. So in other words, what is Arturo telling me to do? What is Damon telling me? What is my coach, my mentor, my upline? What are they telling me to do? Because most people don't hit success. Watch this. They come back to the mentor and say, hey, it's not working. Well, if at first you don't succeed, go back and do what your coach told you to do the first time. Right? The I stands for inspired. Arturo, it was so important for me in my first few years in this industry to consistently stay inspired. That means I had to listen to the right type of audios over and over and over and over. Yeah, I went through that batch of leads and I may have knocked them that first day or that second day, or I might have called those leads through that first day and nobody answered. But what I had were consistent stories in my ear of people like you, people like me that went from rags to riches, that were telling their war stories of, man, it didn't work out for me the first month, but then it worked out. I needed to stay inspired. The last one, the D, Arturo, stands for discipline. Discipline. Damon, what is discipline? Write this down. Discipline is the ability to give myself a command and immediately follow through on it. Now, what I love about that definition, Arturo, is ability. What does that mean? That means I can grow in discipline. It's so funny. Agents will tell me, well, one of my biggest challenges is I'm not very disciplined. And I say, that's cat. They said, what do you mean? I said, that's cat. In other words, for people that don't know that means you're lying. That's a lie. And they said, well, how are you going to tell me you don't know me? I'm not disciplined. Yes, you are. You get dressed every day. You brush your teeth every day. You eat, you work out. There are plenty of things in your life right now that show you're disciplined. The challenge is you have not assigned a system or a discipline to your business. And that would be number 3. If anybody's keeping notes on what Arturo said, hey, how do we get here? Discipline. That means please do not miss this, family, because I see so many agents struggling in this area, and it's for a simple reason. You don't have a structure. You have no system to your business. You are a entrepreneur. In other words, I can't predict what you do daily. And I know how they do. Hey, well, I had a couple of appointments today. Awesome. What'd you do besides that? Nothing. Hey, what are your set work hours? I don't have one, Arturo. I'm an entrepreneur. No, you're not. You're not an entrepreneur. Listen, I traded in my 9 to 5 for an open to close. What does that mean? From the point I opened my eyes to the point I closed my eyes, I was working my business. Family, most of the problems that you have would be resolved if you would simply add structure to your business. Structure equals freedom. In other words, every single week, what hours will you intentionally be working on building your business? Arturo, I promise you, 96% of agents do not have a structure. And that is why they are struggling financially.
100%. And they keep going from lead source to lead source, IMO to IMO, company to company, blaming everybody else. And they got a long list of why this industry doesn't work and why they're not having success. And the number one person that's not on their list is them.
Come on.
Which is like, having consistency, man. So I love having these conversations. And if you guys are getting value from this, Damon, where can people go to find out a little bit more about what you help people out with? I forgot to mention the TED Talk that you've done, which was absolutely incredible. They got millions of views where they can learn a little bit more about you. But then more importantly, this new thing that you're doing with Myron Gordon, where people can kind of check that out.
Yeah, so I'll connect with different entrepreneurs from time to time. I do about 2 or 3 events. People have 5-day events where it's a little bit more of a intimate gathering where you can learn a little bit more about me or other entrepreneurs. But what I do ultimately, if you want more information, you can find it on Instagram, Damon P. Dillard on Instagram, Facebook, Damon P. Dillard, YouTube, Damon P. Dillard. Would love to connect with you.
For sure. Well, hey, man, this has definitely been a blast and a blessing. I love getting on here, connecting and speaking about things, because this isn't any theory. These are things that we have actually done in the transformations that when we get inspired and get motivated on these things is because this was the work that needed to happen behind the scenes. That was not the sexy thing to talk about, but this is the thing that sustains you for where you are, because what got you there won't keep you there. It's like you need, again, like you said, this thermostat, you need to have discipline. And just to wrap this up, because I wrote this down, you said the paid was patience, activity, inspiration, and discipline.
Correct.
Awesome. Well, we could drop the mic with that, man. Thanks again for hopping on the Rainmaker podcast, brother. It definitely was amazing. We'll see you guys on the next one.